Picture this: Caracas, March 2017. You're standing in a hospital corridor holding your daughter. She's burning with fever, 104 degrees. The doctor writes a prescription for antibiotics. You walk to 3 pharmacies. The shelves are 68% empty. By the time you find the medicine at a 4th pharmacy, the price has tripled since morning. You pay with a week's salary. The next day, the pharmacy is boarded up. Your daughter's fever spikes to 105. There are no hospital beds available. 50% of operating rooms are closed due to lack of supplies. You watch her slip into sepsis because the system that promised to save her evaporated in 18 months. This isn't fiction. This was Venezuela, and it's happened in Greece and Ukraine and Sudan. Same collapse, same hospital closures, same mortality spike. Here's what keeps me up at night. Healthcare collapse follows a pattern. Same stages, same failures, same outcome, and when it happens, the things they tell you to stockpile won't save you. The 5 things that actually kept people alive when hospitals failed are so obvious that institutions deliberately ignore them. Not pills, not insurance, water and knowledge. Stay with me. Because by the end, you'll understand why the nurse 3 doors down matters more than the hospital 15 miles away when the ambulance stops running. Venezuela, 2015 to 2017. Only 35% of hospital beds available. 70% medicine shortage in pharmacies. 1/3 of patients admitted to public hospitals died. Infant mortality up 30%. Maternal mortality up 65%. And those are the official numbers. Greece, 2008 to 2013. Among the lowest income families, unmet need for healthcare doubled from 7% to 14%. While the rich, under 1%. Same country, same crisis. Different outcomes based entirely on who could afford to pay. Cuba, special period, 1991 to 1995. Adults lost 5 to 25% of body weight. Maternal mortality up 60%. But infant mortality didn't spike proportionately because the government deliberately prioritized babies and pregnant women whilst allowing everyone else to starve. 3 examples of the same pattern. When economies collapse, hospitals empty, pharmacies go dark and mortality spikes. The data tells the same story, but here's what the WHO reports don't tell you about what actually saved lives. Number 1, clean water, the most obvious, the most ignored. 50% of healthcare facilities in resource-limited settings lack piped water. 33% lack improved sanitation. When systems collapse, this fails first. Here's the brutal math. You don't need antibiotics if you can prevent infection. Medieval Ragusa invented quarantine in 1377. 30-day isolation for ships. Extended it to 40 days. It worked better than anything we have now because it was based on the one thing that never runs out. Knowledge and discipline. For one of you who lived through the Sarajevo siege said it perfectly. We had doctors. We had no water to sterilize tools. People died from infections we could have prevented with soap. Ukraine, right now, WHO verified 2,141 attacks on healthcare facilities. 2/3 of power generation damaged. Hospitals can't sterilize equipment. Same failure mode as Venezuela, as Sudan, as every collapse. If you're realizing that everything you stockpiled won't matter without water, you're starting to see the pattern. Priority 2, nutrition, not supplements, not vitamins, actual food. During the Great Depression, families reduced to poverty received less total physician care than those maintaining stable income. Translation: when you can't see doctors, nutrition determines whether you survive infection. Cuban special period. Adults lost 5 to 25% body weight. Maternal mortality up 60%. But infant mortality protected through deliberate resource allocation. They chose who survived based on available calories. Here's what this means. Inadequate nutrition impairs immune response, increases infection susceptibility, delays recovery. You can have all the medicine in the world. If you're malnourished, your body can't fight. Victory gardens during World War II. Americans grew vegetables not because it was trendy, because centralized food systems are fragile and home production is insurance. The brutal math hasn't changed. Priority 3, organized health networks. Rwanda. Health posts reduced travel to care from 95 minutes to 47 minutes. Community health workers provided interface between families and clinics. When COVID hit, Services continued because infrastructure existed before crisis. Bangladesh. Pre-existing community health worker systems allowed household-level service delivery when facilities closed. Vaccination continued. Family planning continued. Child health services continued. You can't improvise this during collapse. You build it now. The nurse who lives 3 doors down matters more than the hospital 15 miles away when the ambulance stops running. Not rugged individualism. Organised mutual aid. Cuba kept infant mortality stable during famine through community distribution. Rwanda maintained vaccination during pandemic through pre-existing networks. Community infrastructure multiplies individual capacity. If you're realising that the medical system is a house of cards, and the things that actually save lives aren't on any official prep list, hit that subscribe button. This is the Health Collapse Historian. I show you the autopsies of healthcare systems so you recognise the pattern before your hospital closes. It's free, unlike the medical care that won't be there when you need it. Priority 4. Traditional remedies and preventive practices. Willow bark for pain. 3,500 years of use by Sumerians, Egyptians, Greeks. Modern chemistry isolated salicylic acid, created aspirin. But the original remedy worked without pharmaceutical manufacturing. Chinese wormwood. 2 UU screened traditional literature, isolated artemisinin, won the 2015 Nobel Prize, now WHO's first-line malaria treatment. Traditional knowledge guided modern discovery. Here's what critics get right. Some traditional remedies are toxic. Dosing is inconsistent. Herb-drug interactions are real. St. John's wort sails up 2,800% after media coverage, then dangerous interactions discovered with warfarin. The strategy isn't reject all modern medicine or trust all folk remedies. The strategy, know what worked historically, understand mechanisms, use when modern options unavailable. Natural antibiotics, garlic's organosulfur compounds, antibacterial against wide bacterial range, honey's hydrogen peroxide content, hostile environment for pathogens, thyme and oregano oils, effective against some antibiotic-resistant bacteria. This isn't alternative medicine. This is what people used before penicillin existed. Priority 5. WHO Essential Medicines List. Not whatever your prepper forum recommends. The World Health Organization identifies 520 medicines, 374 for children, that satisfy priority healthcare needs. Updated every 2 years based on disease prevalence, evidence, cost. Limited selection. High impact. Focus on pain relief, fever reduction, infection treatment, chronic condition maintenance, first aid supplies for wounds, burns, injuries manageable at home, storage reality check, temperature control, humidity management, expiration monitoring, rotation system. This isn't buy a bunker full of pills. This is maintain what you need, replace what expires, know how to use it. Here's what matters. Antibiotics stockpiled wrong create new danger, resistance from improper use. Knowledge of when to use versus when to isolate and support matters more than quantity stockpiled. So, where are we seeing these warning signs right now? Sudan, 2023. Less than 1/3 of hospitals in conflict zones operational, 70% out of service due to artillery, militarization, supply shortages, Stage 5 collapse, system barely functions. Ukraine, 2024 to 2025. 2,141 verified attacks on healthcare facilities. 2/3 of Ukrainians report health decline. Mental health crisis affecting half the population. Stage 4, operating under sustained assault. Lebanon economic crisis. Beirut nurse saved $50,000, lost 98% purchasing power in 18 months. Stage 3, currency collapse destroying healthcare access. And here's what nobody wants to discuss. The United States. 50% of Americans insured through employers. Unemployment spikes, insurance vanishes. During 2007 to 2009 recession, employee insurance share rose 14% whilst wages stagnated. Healthcare costs exceeding $25,000 annually. System built on assumption of perpetual economic growth and employment stability. Same fragility, same supply chain dependence, same centralization. The only question is whether you see the pattern before you're standing in the hospital corridor with a sick child and no options. The 5 priorities that survived every healthcare collapse since the Great Depression. Clean water and sanitation prevents more deaths than any pharmaceutical. Adequate nutrition, Immune function is biological, not optional. Community health networks, organised mutual aid, not individualism. Traditional knowledge, what worked before modern medicine will work after. Essential medicines, WHO list, not random stockpiling. The question isn't if healthcare systems fail during economic collapse. History says they do. The data is mathematical. The question is whether you'll have positioned yourself and your community to survive when it happens. Same collapse, same hospital failures, same mortality spike, unless you prepare differently. If this forensic breakdown gave you a new lens, hit subscribe. This one was built from your comments asking about health prep, so drop a pill emoji if you're already building community health networks, and tell me what you want me to dig into next. Mental health resilience during collapse, or traditional medicine deep dive, or community organising strategies. I read every single comment. The only question is whether you'll see it coming, or whether you'll be standing in that Venezuelan hospital corridor, watching your daughter's fever climb whilst the pharmacy shelves stay empty and the ambulance never arrives. Now go build your water systems and community networks before you're forced to. Thanks for watching.